Good morning, staff, or whenever you're watching this. Good afternoon or good evening. I've decided to try to do a flipped faculty meeting. So instead of me standing up in front of you and talking forever, you can watch this in the convenience of your own home, wearing your pajamas, or at school during your planning, whenever it's convenient for you. But I just have some things I want to share, and I thought this might be a good way for us to try to do so. I don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to try it. Monday, February 1st, we have the principal's visits. So what I'm hoping is that you'll watch this video this weekend, hopefully. And then when I come in for the visit, you can ask questions if there's anything about what I'm going to talk about that you want to ask questions, or if your grade level has some questions for us. And then also this week, your grades are due. Please be sure you're watching your zeros and that you're posting your grades at the appropriate time. Our grading for our students is extremely important, but it's also important for our parents so that they can be sure that they are keeping behind their children. Learning walks this Wednesday as well. We're continuing those. Just make sure that you're keeping up with what group you're going with when it comes to the learning walks. Then this week also we have two other things coming up. You should have seen and passed out to your student these half-page sheets. They're for our coffee and conversations. One of the things and one of the goals that I wanted to have for myself really is to try to get parents involved a little more. And so I've decided to do this coffee and conversations on the first Wednesday of each month. And it's before school. I thought about having something at night, but I was afraid that parents wouldn't be able to come as much at night, but maybe they could stop by on their way to work in the morning and just have some coffee, and then just a few minutes of me talking to them, maybe this first time just introducing myself to them or getting to know the administrators, and then we'll just share stuff each month when they come in. So coffee and conversation, you can encourage your students to get their parents to come to that. That's this Wednesday, February 3rd, first thing in the morning at 7:30, and we'll be done by 8 o'clock. Then the other thing you have coming up this week is your chili cook-off. If you are interested in cooking chili and being a part of the competition, make sure that you turn in your name to Leslie so we'll know how many pots of chili, and then we can start selling tickets for bowls of chili for people who are going to eat that Friday. So $5 to enter the competition, and I'm going to enter as well. Not that I'm known for my chili or anything, but I thought I might as well try. And then whoever buys a ticket for a bowl of chili will be able to vote, and then we will have the golden wooden spoon for the winner, and we'll also have monetary prizes depending on how much money we raise from how much is sold. So we have the chili cook-off as well coming up. And I talked to you already about the learning walks, so you know if you are having the learning walks or not this week. Don't forget about the grades. That was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I know junior achievement's still going on Friday, and we're trying to protect that time for the social studies teachers with junior achievement. Looks like this week we have one birthday, and that would be Miss Bonaroto's on Friday. And then starting this week as well, February 2nd, 8th grade teachers and Miss Dennison are going to meet with Miss Jacobs and the high school counselors to discuss registration. Then the registration windows starts to open so that you can enter it in Infinite Campus, and I think that opens on the 4th. We do have a lot of, it seems like, professional development. I know social studies representatives are going this week. I believe that's on the 3rd. And there's a lot of other things coming up where you're out on professional development, and I'm sorry that you have that, and we're just following the directives of the board. And just make sure you're there on time and that you've put in an ASOP so that Pam can get you covered. And I think that's about it for that section that I want to talk to you about. I did send home tonight a call home that's going to go out on Sunday, actually, so that parents have some information about the coffee and conversations. And then I also talked to them about the early release. Remember, we're having parent-teacher conferences on February 11th. Like you could forget that, really. But February 11th, they're going to leave at 12:45, and then you have conferences from 1 to 7. Remember, you'll have a break from 4 to 4:30. You chose, or the majority chose, I guess, chicken salad chicks. So we'll have that again for you with sides, chips, and desserts as well. So you can expect that from 4 to 4:30. during your conferences. If you want administrators there, remember to put that on our conference schedule so that we can be there for you and discuss it with us, just so that we'll be prepared. That same day, we're having our semi-formal. One of the things that I'm really pushing is that the students know that they have to be present at school that day. The girls aren't going to get their hair done or their nails done. They're going to be present that day. We're going to start Monday, February 1st, selling those tickets for the snowball. And also, Miss Brown has ordered picture frames, 5x7 picture frames for the children to buy as well that have the snowball date on it. Encourage the students to attend the dance and also to get dressed up. No jeans for the dance. They should dress nicely. And they have off then Friday and Monday, but you have the planning day on Friday. And remember that afternoon, we have Susan Halligan here from 1 to 3. English teachers will be going in the morning from 9 to 11 to Ebenezer so they can get the same project-based learning, professional learning that we're going to get. They're just going to get it in the morning because they have other things to attend to in the afternoon at the Career Academy. And what else did I want to talk to you about? This week, too, just a reminder, is School Counselor Week, February 1st through the 5th. And so you'll see little things, I'm hoping, through the school. If there's anything your team wants to do to recognize our counselors at the school, this week is School Counselor Week. And we got paid. I mean, that's sitting on my desk, so that's always a nice thing. We got paid after not being paid since December 18th, 17th. It feels like forever ago. Okay, some other things that I wanted to share. These are very, very exciting things that I want to share. You can't see it. I know it's very hard to see, but there it is. These were shared with me from Travis Neesmith at the board office. He sent scores. It's the percentage of students with each score point. This would be for the writing. So we have 6th grade, you have the state score, RESA score, the system score. You have Ebenezer Middle School, Effingham County Middle School, and South Effingham. So what you'll see is there's extended writing task. You have your ideas, development, organization, and coherence. And it's the score 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what percentage of students got those score points. And so you have for this column here is for the extended writing task, for the ideas, development, organization, and coherence. Then this section is for the language usage and conventions. And then this section is the narrative writing response. And so once you get this video, I'm going to email this out so you can see it. But the other thing I want to do is brag. I want to brag very much on our English teachers, and not just our English teachers, everyone else who's supporting the writing. I am telling you, I have never heard so many times walking in and out of classrooms with teachers saying to students to answer a question, to restate the question, to answer the question, supply evidence. And it is really paying off, and you will see that. Our percentages of students scoring at the 4 are higher than the state, for example. Let's look at 6th grade. And when you pull this up, you'll be able to look at it with me. But for 6th grade, the students that scored the 4, which is the highest, we had 7%. The state had 6%. But in Effingham County, our system only had 4% as the average. So we're above the average for the system, and we're above the state, and we're above RESA. So I'm very proud of that for 6th grade. That was for the ideas, development, organization, and coherence. If we look over to the language usage and conventions, it only goes up to a 3 on that section. 35% of our students got the 3 in 6th grade. The county average, the system average, was a 29, and we were a 35. And then the state average was 38. So we're a little below the state average. We're above RESA. RESA was 30, and we were 35, and we're above the system average. So way to go on that one. And then the other one was the narrative writing response. We were at 8% getting a 4, and 8% is equal to the system average. We're a little below the state and RESA for the narrative writing response, but you'll get to see this. Again, let me point out 7th grade. Let's work through this data. In 7th grade, if you look at the ideas, development, organization, and coherence, in the number 4, 12% got a 4, which is higher than the state, which was 9%. RESA was 8%, and the system was 9%, and we were at 12, way above. The same thing is going on for language usage and conventions in 7th grade. 56% of ours got the 3, the highest. 56% in comparison to the system, which was an average of a 50, and to the average of the state, which was a 40%. And then we go to narrative writing, and we have the 17% in the 4. The state was a 16, and the system was a 16 average. So we were above the state and the system and RESA for that one as well. If we go down, now we're looking at grade 8, going back to the extended writing task. We got 11% of our students last year scored the 4, which was the highest. The state average was a 9, and the system average was a 9 as well. So we were above the system and state average and RESA average for that one. Then when we look at the extended writing task, looking at language usage and conventions, South Effingham Middle School was at a 55% at a 3. And if you remember back, and you can look back up to 7th grade, we were at 56, and we're keeping that at the high 50s. So the system average was a 49, and the state average was a 42, and RESA was a 39. So we're well above for that one. And then the same thing, let's look at the narrative writing response. In 8th grade, the highest you could get was a 4. 24% of our students got a 4. And that is in comparison to, which is almost doubled, or actually it's over doubled, the state, which was a, no, it is almost doubled. The state, which was a 13, and the system, which was an 18. We are exactly doubled from RESA, which was a 12. So we're well above. So I also want you to look at and notice that from 6th grade, how we're improving from 6th grade to 7th grade and on up to 8th grade. So as you're working with the students each year, they're improving and improving while they're at South Effingham Middle School. And it's really obvious on this. And so kudos to our English teachers. Kudos to anyone who's assisting with the writing process, those working with Read 180, Miss Seeley, and our regular ELA teachers in the classroom in the content areas, and our special ed teachers that are doing that, Mr. Boyes and Mr. Carsey. You're really helping this, as well as our other content areas, social studies, science, and math, that are doing the writing. It's paying off, and I'm extremely, extremely proud of these scores. So make sure that you look at this when you can. And another brag that I want to share with you is that I went to receive the scores for Read 180. These are our mid-year scores. Essentially what happens is, and I don't know if you all know, but Read 180 students, just like our regular students did this year, they took the SRI, the reading inventory, in August. Then they took it again in December, and we can look then at their gains. And so Scholastic, which isn't really Scholastic anymore, but that's beside the point, they, Houghton Mifflin, they look at our scores and tell us what our mid-year gains are for the year. So we look at those mid-year gains from August to December, and then at the end of the year, we'll look at our full year gains. But we get together, all of us that have Read 180, and we look at our mid-year gains. I'm going to send this out as well so you can see this data, but this data is overwhelming as well. We're listed, and you have Effingham County Middle School, Ebenezer, South Middle, Effingham County High School, and South Effingham Middle School. And those are the only schools that have Read 180 currently. And we had for our school, for South Effingham Middle School, our average annual growth rate is at a 1.1. Students are supposed to be at a year growth for the year, and ours already for our average is a 1.1. And the percent of students that are already exceeding the average growth rate, in other words, they have a growth rate that they have to exceed, and 58% of our students have already exceeded that growth rate, those students who are in Read 180. One of the things I like to look at too, they call this the Read 180 Superstars, and this has 10 students who have the most growth within our county. Any students that are doing Read 180 in our county, they take the top 10 of those students. Our students, we have 1, 2, I think 4, but let me count again just to be sure. 4 students out of the 10 are South Effingham Middle School students. The highest one, and they said they were going to send us the names so that we could see, and I'm sure we can talk to Sealy, Du Bois, or Dekarsky and find out who they are. But the highest one already in just half of a year from August to December grew 3.9 grade levels. They've gone up almost 4 grade levels. The other one was a 3.9 as well. And then our other two were 3.7 and 3.5. So that's huge growth for those students that they would have not gotten if they weren't in this Read 180. This is my favorite chart. And you don't need this one in front of you to be able to see why I'm so proud. This is South Effingham Middle School right here. This is where we are. These are the other schools in the county that are doing Read 180. And this right here is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So this is their Lexile growth and where they are now. This is what they are expected, their end of the year goal. So our end of the year goal was 56. We have already surpassed our end of the year goal and we're at 80. Way to go, Du Bois, Dekarsky, and Sealy. So I really am proud of what you all are doing in the classroom, and I want to make sure that you hear me say that because it's paying off. It paid off on our milestones. It's paying off, as you saw in the writing and on our Read 180. And one more thing that I've got to brag on. I know you all have already taken your time to look at your benchmark scores, but I want to just point out a few things for the benchmark scores. We want to work towards the distinguished, and so one of the papers I really want to show you, and now of course I thought it was right on top, but it's not, would be Miss Hobbs. Miss Hobbs has 75% of her students are in the distinguished, and she has no students in beginning or developing. And yes, she has those students that were advanced physical science, but we're very proud that those advanced physical science students that are doing high school work, 75% of them are in the distinguished section. I want to point out, this is our science benchmark. And you can see our goal is distinguished, but we also want to look at how few students we have in the beginning. Our goal is to move them across. And so we want to move them from beginning to developing, proficient, and distinguished. We'd love for the majority of our students to be in proficient because that's really our goal. And if we look, though, we have in 6th grade science, 10.9% of our students are distinguished, and we did better than the county average in that area. We are just around the county average when it came to distinguished for 7th grade science, and for 8th grade science, we were well above the county average. It was 10%, and we were at 13.1% for the distinguished. 19% of our students were at beginning, 16.9 for 7th grade, and 19.9 for 6th grade. And then here you will see, and actually, I take that back, it wasn't 75%, 71.1% of Hobbs, here's the information I was looking for, 71.1% of Hobbs is distinguished, and the county average for distinguished was 47.8. So for the other two middle schools that are both doing the advanced physical science, Shelley outdid them by a lot. I could subtract, but I'm not going to. The county average was 47.8, and Shelley had 71.1, and no students in the beginning or developing. So let me find social studies, and I'm hoping this is the right one because I know that there was a change where there was a discussion about, and this should be correct. You all will correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is not the correct one. It's not. There was a discussion about the ones that actually were in the developing should have been in the proficient. And so I have the wrong one in front of me. and I will get that so that you can see the actual percent for that, because it's not right. But let me just point out the part that is right would be the distinguished. We were at 3.4% distinguished for 6th grade social studies. The county average was 2.5. For the 7th grade distinguished, we had 16.5%, and the county average was 11.2. And for the 8th grade social studies or Georgia history, 13.6% distinguished with 12.2 as the county average. We did have lower than the county average for 7th grade and 6th grade in the beginning. So the county average for students in the beginning was 26% for 6th grade, and we were at 15. The county average for beginning for 7th grade was 21.1%, and we were at 15.2%. So again, I want to make sure that you hear me say, because I wasn't with you when you went through this data, that we are seeing great things across our school. And I know that Ms. Dennison and I want to work with you to make sure that you have what you need for next year. She's going to be asking you if there's anything instructionally you need for next year. We are starting to look at, and I appreciate those of you that have turned in your comments for STEM, your suggestions for next year. We have a STEM committee who's going to meet actually on February 8th so that we can look at your replies and make a decision and have a vision and goal to share with everyone from your input. Share that with you so that we can start looking toward next year. If we're going to have teachers reapply, if we're going to look at students applying, and start putting that ball in motion so that we can let everyone know what they're going to be doing for next year and what it's going to look like at our school. Please remember that all your administrators are here for you, for your discipline needs. Make sure you're working through your process in your classrooms, and then you're referring those students so that we can help you and support you. Remember, academic detention is always an option as well if you see that students are continuing to have problems with zeros or not doing their work, that once you've worked through your process, you've contacted parents, they're still not doing the work, you've done silent lunches or detentions in your classroom, whatever you have as your team discipline or classroom discipline, make sure you're forwarding those students to us so we can work through the process. We're always here for you. Miss Dean, Miss Brown, Miss Dennison, and I are here for you for whatever you need. Make sure that you come see us, and we're here to support you, and want to make sure that you know that we think you're doing an awesome job, and that we know that your job is hard, and that these students can be difficult to teach, and whatever we need to do to help you, we want to do that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us your input with the chicken salad chick, and with the ideas for what to do for STEM for next year. And thank you for all you're doing to make our data look so good. Make sure that you look through that data. Give yourself a pat on your back, especially for all you've done for Read 180, Du Bois, Dekarsky, and Seeley, and for all you're doing for the writing. And that really is a whole team effort to improve those writing scores. But I want to focus on those ELA teachers that really are spending time and time again making sure that they're using the race in their classrooms and getting a lot of practice with it. And then social studies and science teachers, I'm very proud of our benchmark scores and are thankful for all you're doing in your classrooms. Please let me know if there's anything that we can do for you. And I think that's about it. So if you'll watch this video, and if you've gotten this far, you did watch this video, and make sure that you sign up for the chili cook-off, because it'll be pointless if nobody's actually going to participate. We'll not be able to eat any chili on Friday, I guess. And then make sure you come up with some questions if you have any questions that you or concerns that you want to share with me at the principal's meeting on Monday. See you then. Have a great, restful weekend.